What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Chargers Now is presented by Prize Picks. I am your host, Will Ortner. And on today's show, we're going to be breaking down the latest news from Albert Breer on A.J. Brown and why the Los Angeles Chargers were not interested in making a trade for him. The Chargers, at the time, were thought to have wanted a wide receiver and were thought to have wanted A.J. Brown specifically. Sounds more and more like behind the scenes, those were just rumors. Those weren't actually big news dumps or rumors that were going to lead to little nuggets of truth later on. Sounds like the Chargers, they'd made their mind up. We're going to dive into why they wouldn't want A.J. Brown on today's show. We're also going to talk about why Brenen Thompson has not signed a contract yet. The fourth-round rookie draft pick for the Chargers is the last player from the 2026 NFL Draft that was drafted to Los Angeles with the Chargers that has not signed a contract. Is that something to worry about? I'll let you know. And then we're going to end the show with Coyote Oshika, someone who has absolutely been balling out and someone who kind of caught all of us by surprise. Someone that we didn't think would be in the conversation for being a starter on this team and certainly has put himself into a position to have the best chance to do that. A.J. Brown is someone that we're going to start today's show with because most teams, I think, in the National Football League would look at his stat line and say, well, we got to find a way to get him onto our team, get him onto our roster. Someone who had his best years in Philadelphia, but is a true bona fide wide receiver one in the National Football League. He's big, he's strong, he's physical. He has some things that, let's just say I wouldn't read into them too much because while they might be annoying, the production outweighs the annoyance right now. But the Chargers, they didn't want him. And it wasn't because of his annoying habits. It wasn't because of some of the off-the-field things that A.J. Brown has been known to be a little bit of a locker room cancer type deal. But Chargers, they didn't want him for other reasons. I'll let you know that in a second, but this is why you subscribe to the channel. We got you covered on the Chargers throughout the year 2026. Every single day, we got a video. We're talking news. We're talking rumors. We're talking updates. Everything you need to know on the Los Angeles Chargers. So hit that subscribe button. Albert Breer had this to say on kind of the post-mortem of the A.J. Brown trade and the teams that he was interested in going to in the AFC and the teams that, well, frankly, weren't all that interested in A.J. Brown. Meanwhile, Brown's camp gave the Eagles 4 AFC teams they'd be happy to land with: the Bills, Chargers, Chiefs, and Patriots. The Bills traded for DJ Moore soon thereafter, taking themselves off of the market. Well, the Chiefs and Chargers didn't show much interest in a deal, leaving the Patriots, who hadn't put a first-round pick on the table yet, much less a first-rounder and another high pick. The A.J. Brown trade, we all know it ended up becoming official last week. A.J. Brown obviously going to the New England Patriots. The Philadelphia Eagles, they end up getting a 2028 first-round pick and a 2027 fifth-round pick. Now, some are saying that that was a little bit of a cheaper deal than what people would have expected to come in for someone of A.J. Brown's talents, but it's because the Patriots got into a situation where they were literally bidding against themselves. The Chargers and the Chiefs both pulled out, and well, I might not know why Kansas City decided not to go in on this deal. I do believe I know why the Chargers decided not to go in on this deal. They think they have their wide receiver one in Quentin Johnston. From everything that we've heard out of Los Angeles, it certainly seems like Quentin Johnston is someone that this front office and this coaching staff has really come to love. Now, I know why there are a lot of Chargers fans that feel like Johnston hasn't been everything he was advertised to be coming out of TCU. But to sit here and say that Quentin Johnston has been an abject failure would be wrong. In fact, if Quentin Johnston was someone that was drafted in, say, the second or third round, you'd actually be fairly happy with the production from him. He's someone that has had 18 touchdowns. He's someone that every single year he does get better. Last year, the yardage doesn't go up by that much and the receptions go down, but the yards per catch go up, and he played in less games than normal. Quentin Johnston is someone that I think most teams would be happy to have because he continues to improve. He doesn't rest on his laurels. He's going to continue to grow. And I think he still has a lot of room to grow as a player. To sit here and say that he's a finished product, that is wrong. But I think that multiple 1,000-yard years could be coming for Johnston. He's also someone that's looked really good in OTAs, and it could be more of an offensive scheme fit as to why he struggled previously. He's going to excel more with Mike McDaniel. Would you have traded for A.J. Brown? Let us know down below in the comment section, yes or no. Very interested to hear what your opinion is there. I'd say no. I like Johnston. We got more to talk about, but I need to let you know that today's show is made possible by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is America's #1 sports picks app and is the best place to win cash while watching sports. With playoff basketball here, there's no better time to cash in with our friends at Prize Picks. And I'll tell you this, the app is really easy to use. To qualify for a Prize Picks lineup, pick 2 to 6 players and select more or less on stat projections, including points, rebounds, assists, three-pointers, and several others across all sports. If you're more of a baseball guy or a gal, you can choose stats such as hits, home runs, and strikeouts. One thing I love is the new social feeds feature where you can share Prize Picks with your friends and copy lineups with a single click. You can actually follow me on the app at BigWill7774 to see all of my lineups. I have a lineup for the basketball action going on later on this evening. Josh Hart, more on his rebounds and assists. Mikal Bridges, more on his points, rebounds, and assists. Stephon Castle, more on his points. New user offer. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code HMA when you play your first $5 lineup to receive $50 in lineups. That's code HMA when you play your first $5 lineup to get an extra $50 in lineups with Prize Picks. Clickable link to download the app is in the comments and description. So let's talk about Brenen Thompson next, because this guy needs to sign his contract with the Los Angeles Chargers. Now, the 4th round pick in this year's draft has still not chosen to sign a contract. Everyone else has, including Akeem Mesidor, the 1st round rookie for Los Angeles. He signed just last week. Now, Thompson is someone who had, middling success for a decent chunk of his career with Mississippi State and then absolutely exploded last season. He was someone that reached heights that no one else did and was one of the top wide receivers in the SEC, especially for a team in Mississippi State that isn't all that good. That 18 basically yards per catch average is absolutely unheard of, especially for someone that is a little bit on the smaller, lighter side at wide receiver. Now, why the Chargers want to get this deal done quickly is because Brenen Thompson, I think, is the ideal wide receiver for this Los Angeles Chargers team now that they have moved over to Mike McDaniel's style of calling an offense. He is someone that, when McDaniel gets the ball out quickly to his playmakers, is going to be able to make a big catch and make a lot of people miss. He's going to be able to catch the football and really get going and use his speed, which is something that not everyone necessarily has already on this Chargers team. Now, what I'm really excited for and excited to see with Thompson is his deep play threat ability as well. When you look at a wide receiver the size of Thompson, you don't typically think of him as a deep play threat. You think of him more as a quick route running wide receiver, get open, catch the football, get down quickly so he does not get smacked. But I would equate Brenen Thompson very similarly to another smaller wide receiver that had a lot of success in his career by the name of Tyler Lockett. Lockett came in as someone in the National Football League who was big player bust, and he turned into being one of the best wide receivers in Seattle Seahawks history. Now, I'm not putting that type of onus already on Brenen Thompson, but what I am saying is to sit here and look at his size and just say, oh, that's a guy who can only fit into this square box, I think is wrong. Mike McDaniel does a great job of getting the most out of his players and has had a lot of success with these smaller wide receivers. Thompson, also someone who could potentially add in on special teams as well. I want to know down below in the comment section, are you with me? I am a bit nervous that Thompson has not signed his contract yet. Let me know if you agree or disagree with me. I feel like that signing is going to come sooner rather than later, but you don't want to be the team that has a player that's holding out on a contract that honestly feels like it shouldn't be that hard to get signed early. The big question that we're going to end the show with is who's going to start at left guard. Now, we all know that the interior of the offensive line for the Los Angeles Chargers was suspect at best last year. But it does feel like someone has sneakily put themselves in the conversation to being the starter at left guard with how many reps with the ones this person is getting during Chargers OTAs. Coyote Oshika is someone who has been very impressive. Now, he was previously with the Detroit Lions. The Los Angeles Chargers signed him in free agency, and he was certainly not someone that I was penciling in as a potential starter for this Chargers offensive line crew. Now, I think a lot of people, like myself, put Jake Slaughter as probably the person who was expected to be starting at that left guard spot. And I actually don't think it's a bad thing that Slaughter has not just been given the job. He should have to fight for it. But then the assumption was that Trevor Penning would be the next person, or maybe you'd have a conversation about some of the other young guys between Taylor and Harkey that could potentially be battling for a guard spot. But it has been Oshika. Suddenly, he has put himself in the position to where he is getting used with that one group at that left guard position. When you look at his stats in the 2025 season, they're not going to jump off the page to you, mainly because he's someone who had spot snaps throughout the year with the Detroit Lions. But to sit here and say that he is absolutely horrific would be wrong. In fact, I would make the argument that Oshika is someone who has shown that he can be a serviceable player in the National Football League. Is he going to be the best starter in the world? No, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that. But he is someone that certainly is going to have a halfway decent NFL career, if not greater than that, because he's good enough to make a lot of rosters. Is he good enough to be a starter? I don't know that Chargers fans are going to feel ultimately comfortable with that. But right now, if he's the best option, he's the option you have to go with, because Slaughter is still kind of coming along very slowly. Remember, he's never played guard in the college football level, right? He has not played guard at this high of a football landscape. He has really only played center. So Slaughter is having to cross-train and learn how to take the steps properly so that way he can be a serviceable guard with his team. There's still a long way to go. We have another week of OTAs, then we have mandatory minicamp next week, and then, of course, we have training camp. So there's plenty of time for Slaughter to come in and become the new starter. But Coyote Oshika has certainly put himself on my radar, and you should put him on your radar as well, as someone who could be a starter for this Chargers team in the 2026 NFL season. Hit that subscribe button because this is the type of news that we like to get out to you. Plus, we always add a little bit of our own flavor of our own opinions on it. Thank you guys so much for viewing today's video. Go tell someone that you love them. And as always, bolt up.